Hey there, viewers. Welcome back to the South Main Auto Channel. Got a 2019 Chevrolet. It's got the big 5.3. It's got a bunch of lights on and it has no steering. And he writes, Dear Eric, 3 weeks ago, out of the blue, while leaving a parking lot, 3 messages flashed across the dash: the service power steering, service ESC, and service trailer brake controller. Right after that, and out of the blue, I had no power steering. I was able to drive it home, and then it was fine for several days. It's been coming and going since, so I haven't been driving it. Also, a few months ago, it tells me it's not in park when it starts, and when it is, and then it blows the horn loudly when I exit the vehicle. This is more of a nuisance than anything, but I'd like to get that taken care of as well. So that was a pre-existing problem. He had this issue with it, indicating it's not in park, and then he gets out and it, blows the horn. But the new problem is this service power steering, service trailer brake controller, and service ESC. That's his new issue. He took it to such and such Chevy dealership in Bath, and they acted like it was the first time they had heard of this happening. I paid them an exorbitant amount of money to tell me it needs the following: part number such and such transmission control module, part number such and such rack and pinion, and part number such and such trailer brake control module. So they've determined that it needs a new training control module, a new rack and pinion, which also has the power steering control module, and a trailer brake control module. All are bad. I've had an incredibly bad experience over this with the dealer. Feel like they fleeced me. If this is what I need to do to have the truck fixed, let's get her done. But he wasn't going to do it without getting a second opinion. Thanks for getting it in. Hope you can get me back on the road. Love always, Jay. So here we are. And indeed it has no power steering. Let me show you what's up. Of course, I don't usually see trucks this new because, well, they're still under warranty. So this thing's only got 47,000 on it. You can see it says service power steering, drive with care. Hood open. No assist soon. So let me fire this pig up. And I think just by sitting in it, I can tell you what we've got going on. So right now it seems to function, but this really seems to be electrical load. How do I want to say it? If we add electrical load to it, things start getting stupid. So right now the steering works, but let's go like this and get herky jerky with it. Let's turn on a bunch of accessories. Put a bunch of electrical load on it. Usually this brings, there we go, I was going to say usually that, oh, you missed it maybe. You start putting a ton of load on it and that brings up the trailer brake message. There we go, we lost steering. Okay, so that comes and goes. The steering is fine as long as you go slow. Let me turn off some electrical load here. So if I turn slow, it's funny, I'm over here jerking the wheel like an idiot, and we turn it slow and the trailer brake light comes on, or trailer brake message. But like I say, if we turn slow, we do have power steering assist. It's when we try to go fast that we don't. And there's this shift to park message when we can see we have park indicated here and here. But if we get out, oops, it's because I still have the key on. Let me shut the key off. One of these stupid things. Who misses the good old key? So it thinks it's not in park. All right, so there's all of his complaints in a nutshell. So I have just key on, engine off. We're gonna go pull some codes out of this thing. So I'll get this pulled up on your screen here. I just let it go through and scan the codes out of all the modules. Now, mind you, when this thing came in, it was littered full of codes to the point it was hard to decipher through it. So I just cleared them out so I could see who's real, what's not. And here's where we're at. So our brake system, we have front brake pad wear sensor or signal circuit not plausible, an unknown DTC, power steering malfunction level 1, control module. This is the one I'm concerned in, control module power circuit. This is for the body module. Trailer brake module system voltage. So these are the ones I'm worried about. The power control module circuit for that, and then the control module circuit power circuit here. So this is the ones we're going to focus on. I want to get us a wiring diagram and see what's out. First, we're going to look at a little bit of data though. We're going to take and pop out of the vehicle diagnostics that we're in. We're going to go to module diagnostics. We're going to pick the power steering control module. And then we will look at some data. I think we're going to find that we have a voltage issue here. Okay. So let's see. So there's our battery voltage for the module, the 13.4. Tells us how much current is being drawn in it. Before we even pop into anything, let's just go turn the steering wheel here. I'm gonna take the laptop with us. Let's just go see what happens here when we yank the steering wheel around. Okay, let me just set this laptop over here in the seat. I don't know if we have to have the key on. Oh my goodness, I can't turn crap. Let's start it. That's interesting. It popped right down to 11. 12, okay, coming back up. Wait for everything to kind of normalize here. Yeah, that's it, right? It's not even running at charging voltage now. Because our charging voltage, look down here in the corner of the screen, 13.4. This is only at 12.6. I'm gonna turn the steering wheel. Oh, bingo, lady. There's your problem. Making grunty noises. Well, that doesn't act like a bad control module to me, because look at that, I'm just barely turning the steering wheel, as you can see, and that voltage is dropping down 7.6. So I wonder, well, let's see here. We're going to take and pop back out here. Let's go to our trailer brake control module and see, because then all we got to do is look at the diagram and see what they have in common. I mean, where is brake system, where's trailer brake control module? We'll go into brake system control module. Data. There we go. Okay, trailer brake, rear axle, pad life. Okay, so we'll go trailer brake control data. We have voltage. Here we go. There's module voltage. Okay, let's turn the steering wheel here. Oh, look at that. 10.6 or whatever it just came down to. 12.32. So clearly it's connected here. Yeah, so when the steering works better, so as I steer it lightly, now look what it does. So it's affecting the trailer brake control module voltage. So, okay, this is it. Show's over, folks. Show's over. Let me do something here. Here, let's turn this thing off. So that's kind of stupid that the dealer was going to charge them an insane amount of money. I mean, granted, we haven't diagnosed it yet, but let's look at, because obviously you guys can see the connection here, and I thought I saw the connection pulling it in. Like, wait a minute, this is doing something funny every time it gets a high electrical demand. Which electric power steering is a massive electrical draw. Like if you're looking to induce load on a circuit and your car has electric power steering, you know, you flick on the rear window defogger, that's a big drawer. You know, high beams, obviously, unless it's LED, blower motor on high and start turning your steering wheel. I mean, you can be putting 60 to 100 amp load on a vehicle pretty easily. I say we look at wiring diagram to see where the main power feed is for the power steering control module and for the trailer brake control module and the main ground, because we know we have voltage loss or voltage drop, but we don't know what side of the circuit it's on. Is it the power side feeding it, or is it the ground side? We don't know, but let's find some factory wiring diagrams here and see what we can do. All right, let's see here. We are going for electric power steering. Hopefully it's not overly complicated here. Let's see. So we have, let's just look at the main power and the main ground. Just out of curiosity. Enhance, enhance, enhance. So we have fuse, 175 amp fuse right there, F2 UD, and then we have a ground G116. And that appears to be, well, then this is also the power feed. So I don't know what power feed we're looking at when we're looking So I'm gonna bookmark this, and then we're gonna find a trailer brake control module diagram, because this may be what we're looking at right here, this ignition voltage here, in which case we'll have to find on a power distribution diagram, are they the same? Do they come from the same fuse? Which would be pretty weird if they did. JL1 will go here. I can't fathom what these have in common. So trailer brake control module, that's what we were just looking at. Interesting, because this runs a 30 amp fuse here. Its power and stuff is fed from, it works off a LIN bus of some sort, and it talks to the brake system control module. Okay, that's quite interesting. And it grounds at G405, so that grounds way at the back versus the ground G1 whatever it was up towards the front. So at this point, I tell you what, we still don't know if we're dealing with a power loss or a ground loss. So we're just going to bookmark this. Let's go back to our original bookmark that we saved for the power steering. Remember that had 2 fuses, right? So let's click on this again, and we can test these at the fuse box or at the battery, wherever it picks up its fuse from, its fuse power, just so we have some direction. So this F2UD 175 amp, but I suspect more than likely it's this ignition feed here that it's seeing, which that's not a fused ignition. That is really interesting. Let me find where this goes, where this ignition feed here is, because I would like to be able to check both. I know at this point it's kind of boring sitting here looking at the screen, but a lot of automotive repair is just this. It's, forever looking, and then coming up with a plan. But hear me out on this. So looking at the power steering, okay? So we're looking at this power steering control module, and we still have yet to determine a couple things. I don't want to just go poking wires, so if you want me to just go under there and just get after it, I'd rather not at this point, until we need to come up with a plan. So I suspect, power loss on the main power here, the main ground coming in. This is your big supplier for the motor. We have the ground, and then we have this ignition feed here. And the only reason we're looking at these is because on scan data, we know that when we turn the steering wheel, we see that voltage loss. So where is it reading that from? I suspect this right here. It says see data communication schematics, circuit number 5986. Okay, let's see. So we go to data schematics, and then I found it here. 5986 is just the LAN wake up signal from the body control module. So here's our body control module. It sends out this signal to all of these modules on circuit 5986. I'm not real computer savvy here, hold on. Okay, so it comes down 5986, this circuit right here. That's the same circuit we looked at on our diagram that was complete for the power steering control module. This feeds this 5986, this one right here feeds the suspension control module and the power steering control module. So that's interesting. I don't see the brake system control module is a little bit different though. That's also being fed by the body control module. So this is pretty curious. Here, 5986 comes out. I don't know if we have this RPO code or not. There's a lot of RPO codes here I haven't looked up. I'm curious to know if we go and let's say for example we look at the radio or the cluster voltage. Does any of that, make sure nothing's out here, does any of that get kind of silly? So let's see if we can just go back to the radio here. Didn't mention anything about the radio shutting off or anything like that. Let's see. Oops. Oh. Well, maybe this is a Chevy function. As soon as I turn the steering wheel, the reverse camera comes on. Maybe that's just a thing. Let's see. Yeah, so battery voltage here appears to be steady. Almost too steady. 13.5. Okay. I'm just poking and hoping here, folks. I'm just trying to gather some... Oh. Yeah, power steering just completely shut down. 100%. Got no steering now. Okay. At this point, I guess I'm ready to do some testing. I think I've gathered enough data to see we're going to find the connection here. I can look forever, but I think what we need to do is we're going to pick the easiest thing that's broken. Power steering module, I think, is going to be the easiest thing to get to. We're going to go and see, are we missing power on the big cable? Are we missing power coming in from the body control module, which we now know where that comes from, or are we losing ground? Once we find that out, then we can really hone in on just a single circuit, and then we should be able to come up with our answer. Here is the connector for the, oops, man down, flashlight gravity. Here is the main connector for the power steering control module, and I see the blue with white wire on it right here on the back side, or white, yeah, white with a blue stripe. And then here's our other two, our big power and our big ground. I'm going for this one first because I want to see what I want to see. I'm going to back probe that. We're going to see if we have voltage loss just going to the module right there. If not, we're going to come and see what we can do with this connector to see what's happening there. I have the negative lead hooked right to the battery negative. This is hooked underneath there. Okay, so we can see we're at 13.3 volts. Let me see if I can leave this laying on the ground. Well, I guess I'm going to need somebody to help me because I need somebody to start it up and steer it, and then we can see if we're losing voltage here. Can I employ a helper?
Yeah. And I got some bad news for you. Are you gonna go up? What? Are you gonna help?
Bad news?
What? Can you help him, or can she help you?
What's the bad news?
About those tires. It's 8 weeks till production.
Mother. Okay, go ahead and start it, Trinity. Oh, look at this, folks. We might be on to something already. Hey, Trinity, can you turn the steering wheel like slowly, like just slowly start turning it like about that fast? Okay. Just keep doing that for me. Are you turning it, honey? Okay, turn it all the way to the left. Is it getting hard to steer? It's hard to steer? Let me see what it feels like, sweetie.
It's like...
Oh, that's really not too bad right now. Kind of jerk it back and forth like that so it feels funny. Okay, just a minute, Trinity. We need to see up here what's happening. Make sure that it's still broke here. Okay, start turning the wheel slowly. Okay, just a second. I'm gonna put a little more pressure on the front tires here. Okay. Try turning it all the way to the left. Okay, just a minute. Okay, go to the right. Okay, just a minute. Okay, so we see it dropping here. Okay, go to the left. Okay, go to the right. Okay, that's good, sweetie. Go back to the left. Okay. All right, that's good, Trinity. Shut it off first. Just take your foot off the brake and just push that button. Looking at diagram, so we just did that single power wire coming in. Now I tapped into the ground. It's because I don't see any, this power steering control module diagram is complete. This is all communication wires. And then this is all just wires going to the torque position sensor. So I'm back probed into the ground and then hooked to the battery negative because I want to see, is there a voltage drop on the ground side? We've got our meter here. Hopefully we've got a good connection on there. So what's curious is we already have 121 millivolts of voltage drop on the ground side. We don't even have any current flowing through it yet. Push on the brakes, honey. And then push the start button. Okay, so we have 350 millivolts of voltage drop. Let me set it down a little bit so she has some tension on it here. I'm gonna set it down a little bit. Okay, slowly start turning your steering wheel. Okay, back to the right. Just keep turning it all the way to the right. Oh yeah, look at this. We are 5 volts, 1.2 volts, 1 volt. Okay, back to the left. 3 volts. There it is. This should be at or near 0. Okay, back to the right. Or back to the left, honey. Keep turning to the left. Keep going. Yeah, I mean, we're at almost a full volt there. This meter is wicked slow too, so I'm sure we're not catching it. Keep going left. Keep turning. Keep turning. Yeah, we're almost a voltage drop just on the ground side. Is it really hard to turn, sweetie? Oh, okay. Shut it off. Okay, now step on the brake. Turn it back on. Okay, does it turn now? Okay, just a minute. It's a little easier? Or is it still hard?
Still hard.
Okay, just a second. I mean, yeah, look at this. We're at an idle at 1.5 volts voltage drop. Okay, don't worry about it, Sissy. Just shut it off. Here we sit, car off. We have 1 volt of voltage drop on a circuit that's hardly flowing any current. So now we have direction. Now it's just a matter of logic and working the system backwards. So we know that we were tapped into this ground as G116. And curiously enough, it doesn't have, G116 does not have a connection with our trailer brake. So let's go here, let's see what all's hooked to G116. I imagine it's by itself, that's a big old stud. So let's see G116. Let's just be sure, see what else hooks to it, and then we just need to follow backwards. Is it G116 or is it what is everything else that's hooked to it? So power steering control module only, G116. So yeah, that's the only thing that's hooked to that. I'm going to take and follow this backwards and see where G116 is. Then we're going to follow it, because I doubt G116 itself is bad because we have the problem with the control module. I assume whatever bracket or frame or whatever this is hooked to, that entire piece has probably lost its ground, if that makes sense to you. You can look here and see that service data is not very useful. G116 in engine compartment center. Not super duper helpful, dude. How about this? How about, that's super not helpful. Let's go back to our bookmark. Let's look at the ground for the trailer brake controller and just see if that's an easier ground to find and maybe find some connection there. So we have this G, whatever this is, that's trailer brake control switch, this G435, I think it is over here. Boy, usually the G and the 400s are way at the back of the vehicle. I would be surprised of its connection here. So G405. Now I'm just making a big assumption here. This is a big mistake you could make. We may have a totally separate problem with the trailer brake controller. I doubt it. But G405, let's find out where that little guy lives. G405 is number 3 on this diagram. Number 3. So this is way at the back of the truck, yeah. And it appears to be, I don't know if is it the frame rail that it grounds to there? Number 3, yeah, so that grounds to the frame. So I mean, gosh, if we lost the ground on the entire frame, I mean, that's easy enough to check. We can do a voltage drop check on it. That would be pretty suspect that we're only having a couple issues here. It doesn't take much to run a voltage drop test on that. Let's just do a quick voltage drop test on the frame rail, which I think would be insane if we lost that and only we're having a couple issues. Would you be so kind as to help me?
Help you?
We're hot on the trail, babe.
Okay.
Hot on the trail. We're still hooked to the battery negative here. We'll grab this, and probably the easiest thing, I'd be surprised if this whole frame rail is not grounded, but let's see here. Seen weirder things. Oops. Uh-oh, we're pushing lots of buttons here. Try to get it where you guys can see it. I'll reach in and touch the frame rail. We should be at 0 volts. No kidding, we're at a freaking half a volt on the right side frame rail. Wiggle the steering wheel to the right. Still start turning it to the right. Ha, look at that. Turn it to the left. Oh, just a minute. Did you just lose power steering, hon?
Well, it like jerked it back.
It did? Okay, try turning to the right. Yeah, no kidding. Look at that. 2.5 volts on the whole left frame rail of the car. That's good, Vanessa. Wow. You're not going to believe this.
Me?
Yes, ma'am. Who else am I talking to?
I believe ya.
Can you believe we're missing ground on the entire frame of this truck? 2019 Chevrolet. And you know what? You know what the Chevy dealer was going to do to this guy?
I don't want to guess.
It was new power steering control module, new trailer brake control module.
Oh, there's a whole list?
Yeah, there's a whole list.
Oh, wow.
And they said we charged them an exorbitant amount of money.
Already?
And a new rack and pinion, and transmission control module and trailer brake control module.
Well, they just...
Poke and hope, man. They don't get paid to diagnose, so that's what you get. You get a list of parts you need.
That, no warranty even.
I don't know, it's a 19. That's all I got. It's
that's
less
what
than
I was
50K, so I don't know. We just got a bad connection. Boom.
Wow.
Now I gotta get up my big nose and find this bad wire.
Sniff it out?
Yes, ma'am. To be honest with you, I'm a little excited and a little disappointed all at the same time. Disappointed that, GM didn't really check it before, condemning all these modules for going bad. And I mean, realistically, any guy that works in the shop should know that's straight up ridiculous. They all didn't die at the same time. I believe once we fix this, it's gonna fix the steering issue and the trailer brake issue, but we may still have the whole, you left your car out of park issue, because that sounds like that was pre-existing. So let's find out where this frame gets its ground from, because clearly we're missing ground on the entire frame, and I'm just baffled that this is the only problems that we have, because I thought there was a whole lot more that grounded to the frame than these 2 issues that we're having. I'm gonna do some poking. I may just do a visual inspection to see. I mean, we gotta be looking for a main battery cable here at this point, or battery cable goes to body, body goes to frame, something like that. We're looking for a big component. So let's try to find it. Well, I don't know if this is it or not, but I wanted to look. I didn't want to get the money shot. So the negative battery cable comes obviously from the negative post. It goes up here to the firewall, it looks like. Now sorry about the sucky part. I gave this a little wiggle. That seems tight. But then I look down here, because it is a 19, so the truck's getting pretty old for New York. So it's going to be rusty and crusty. And I look down here, and I see that braided ground strap from the firewall to the engine block. But then I see down below unenhanced. Man, this camera's got a sensitive focus. I see down below, way down yonder, enhanced. I see a braided ground strap down there that I think probably belongs on this stud up here. Enhance. What the frick? Everything's in my way. Let's see, so there's where the one hookup is. I think that one below it, I'm wondering, that one with the rusty brown ring around it, I wonder if that is where that other ground cable goes. So let's have a look underneath it, because it's kind of weird seeing this little sucker laying down there, right? And I think that goes to the frame and probably went up here to the body. Wow. So let's have a little look-see. So there's where it hooks to the frame. And where does it go back here? Oh, come on. I guess we're gonna stick our light up in here because it looks like it's connected. Bear with me, folks. Gotta get a little rough here. Oh yeah, that sucker is connected. All right, so it doesn't go up where we thought, but that could be a crappy connection there. I mean, it almost has to be, right? Or it's crappy right here. We could do a voltage drop test on just that, or we could just unhook it right here and clean it up, because this is the most likely culprit. Because that's relatively clean up there, but I don't think the cable's broken. I'm gonna set you down. We're gonna get a tool here and loosen this up. No, the bolt wasn't loose. Let's just see if the... Oh, look at this friggin' thing. There's your problem, lady. You got a crusty wire. Frickin' junk. Look at this thing, folks. What a piece of crap, huh? Yep. Wait till everybody starts driving their electric cars. This should be a real show in New York, huh? So, yeah, this whole thing's nothing but this freaking solid corrosion. Well, it needs a new ground strap from here to there. Unfortunately, that's the main ground. I wonder how much stuff's going to get smoked when it starts pulling current through things it's not supposed to pull current through. Awesome. I went ahead and just pulled this sucker off all the way. I'm not putting a braided ground strap back on it. Should I be? More than likely. If I want to fix it, you know, OEM style, we should be putting a braided ground strap back on it. They're better for movement. They carry more current than its equivalent size in a, you know, a braided or a insulated wire. But the fact of the matter is, this guy's going to be right back in this situation. As silly as it sounds, I'm going to put just a 4-gauge, you know, 14-inch ground strap on there with 2 eyelets on it. I don't think we're going to get enough movement out of this thing, you know, until the cab rots and settles, but at that point everything's touching, so then it's good. You know, right or wrong, criticize me if you want in the comments. If it was my truck, I'd be putting a solid ground wire on there. I see a lot of other braided ground wires on this truck. It really makes me wonder, this body style truck in the salt belt, these are going to be a problem. You're going to be put out a bolo on these babies, because you're going to be on the lookout for them. The one that runs around the back of the engine looks like it's going to be the same issues, and the other ones that I see. These are great. They're not great for high salt water environments, simply because they hold the water, they hold the salt, turn right to pus, and you know, there's your problem, lady. So that's what we're doing. My Napa guy just showed up. He brought us this little guy right here. Probably can't see it. That's your classic 711 294 solid cable. Let's get after it. So that's pretty tight there. I already whizzy wheeled the frame. It's kind of hard for me to get my head in there and you, but I put it so it's going to have a little bit of a U in it. So if there is any flexing, which there's not a ton of, at least it'll have some give to it, but it certainly will outlast that factory one that was in there. There we are, folks. So there's what it looks like from down here. Like I say, if it was my truck, I would do the same thing. I wouldn't put the braided stuff back on it, just because that's just more problems. I'm sure we generated an insane amount of codes while doing this, so I'm going to go through and clear all them out, and then we'll start it and see if the problem's solved. Let's see, I've got the codes cleared in it. I'm going to take it, back it up a little bit here. We should be all good. Be curious to see if it fixes his you left your car not in park problem. Shouldn't have any lights on here. Okay, there we go. Back it up a little bit. I'll get where we can get right here. That's where our park. One thing I did want to see, which I thought was weird, before, yeah, so that was screwed up too, because when I would turn the steering wheel before, the reverse camera would come on. So that's pretty interesting. I didn't know, like I mentioned earlier in the video, if that was a GM thing, because I don't work on too many of these new cars, or what. But yeah, before when we would turn the wheel just a little bit, every time we touched the wheel, the reverse camera would come on. So that was something worthy of noting. But now, we're in good shape, I think. All that for a silly little ground wire. Cool. Oh, let's see if this part thing is. See if that still screws up on them. That time it worked. He said it's about every 7 out of 10 times that would screw up. That's interesting. About every time that we did it in the shop, it was goofing up, but. Maybe that's fixed too. So that's good. This fellow will be happy. Let's try that one more time. Yeah, whatever. We're gonna keep on keeping on. So easy fix on this one, folks. Unfortunately for the General Motors dealer who looked at it, made a huge mistake, huge diagnostic mistake. Overlooked, the super obvious problem that was glaring right at us, which was the voltage loss. And then just from that point tracking it down, is it on the power side or the ground side, and then just picking a component to figure that out on. I knew the power steering control module was the easiest thing to get to, and I also knew from evidence looking at the scan data that it was losing voltage. I mean, it was clear and obvious that when we would turn the steering wheel, things started going kind of stupid. And like I say, the power steering is a giant consumer. That's going to consume, it's on a 175 amp circuit. So it potentially could, take that much current. So just, simple logic, follow it down, lead you to the problem. I believe that GM should give him his money back though. The guy's over $800 into this at the dealer because they charged him restocking fees to send all the parts back that they were going to, load in their parts cannon. So he had to pay for their ammunition, plus he had to pay a $500 diagnostic fee for something that was improperly diagnosed. It was clearly not the right answer. So I hope that they do the right thing. And, now that he has some proof and some evidence, like, here's what the problem is. And maybe, the guy that worked on it can learn from it and say, well, if I get more of these in the future, I can at least throw one of those ground cables on it or go there and give it a tug and see if it's broke. I know that's what I'm going to do when I get a customer that has one of these and everything's gone wonky. I'm going to go right there and just have a visual inspection. Is this ground cable garbage? Psh, yep, here you go. Here's your problem. Slap one on it and move on with life. Why don't you guys move on down to that comment section? Down there, leave me the comments, hit the subscribe, ring the bell. Let me know what you think GM should do for this fella, if anything. And just remember, viewers, if I can do it, you can do it. Thanks for watching.